1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really living. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really living. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man.
Shalom, good evening, good morning. We're going to get started in a second. What's going on, everybody? We on the live, and for some of us, we'll be streaming this later on in these days, in these last days that we have going on. But what is going on? Shalom. My name is Brother Aman Allah. I'm here with another. It's been a minute, actually. Had some delays in some previous lessons that I maybe will get to another time. The Northern Kingdom that didn't get aired, unfortunately, but we're here another Wednesday, and today we're going back into the Babylonian Captivity. That is today's topic of lesson today for history. So, if y'all recall, it's been a long couple of weeks, actually, without Wednesday classes. We have feast days and such and what have you, but the last world history lesson that we left off with was the fall of Jerusalem. So that's the transition of today. The fall of Jerusalem ultimately led into the Babylonian captivity, particularly by the Chaldeans, a particular tribe within the region of Babylon, of our people, the Jews, within their confines, within their borders, within their systems and laws and land and customs and whatnot. That's what we were subject to for, prophetically speaking, 70 years for disobeying the Most High God Yahweh's laws, statutes, and commandments, his covenant. I'm going to bring that out to you a little bit of that history in 2 Chronicles chapter 36. So if y'all want to follow me there, and there's a lot of references too, but I'm going to start at least with this one. And we won't read the whole thing. It's a lot. I know you guys like to, if you're like me, you like to take your time with stuff, with reading in the Bible and soak it in, Don't want to have someone to rush it through. But I'm going to slightly rush you guys through this, so we won't be reading the whole chapter. 2 Chronicles chapter 36, and I'm gonna read from verse 5. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God. So we're going to be touching upon that as far as what is evil. Evil is basically sin, and sin is transgression of the Most High God's laws, statutes, and commandments. When you look at them and study them enough, it's not grievous, and they become really simple and easy-minded to think about. But when you see the way that our people operate and their covetousness and unfaithfulness to one God, the true living God, you see why the evils, the expansion of why the evils happen within Judea and even in the northern kingdom. evil in the sight of his Lord, the Lord his God, Yahweh. Against him came up Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. This is what we're talking about. And bound him in fetters and carried him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried of the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon and put them in his temple at Babylon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and his abominations which he did, and that which was found in him, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. And Jehoiachin his son reigned in his stead. So again, Jehoiakim, the beginning of transfer from people at this particular time. It expands bigger in Second Kings, but it was through short periods of waves of the actual transportation of our people to Babylon. First, it started with the kingship and the royalty, people with education and knowledge, and then it eventually kind of trickled down to more of the middle class and lower upper middle class, and eventually just the poorest sort of the people were left in Babylon, so they could not Babylon, in Jerusalem, in Judea, so they couldn't really do anything without the proper knowledge to educate and construct cities and such like that. All those people, artisans, kings and royalty and such, craftsmen, they were taken to Babylon specifically to build up Babylon because they'd had the potential to do so already. So let's keep going down with this. Let's jump down to verse 10 in chapter 36. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon. This is the second king after Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, with the goodly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem. So throughout the next couple verses, you find that Zedekiah he basically rebels against the king of Babylon, which is against the will of the Most High. The Most High uses these other nations of people to essentially set us in order, to whoop us, to make us self-reflect and be like, this is what you wanted? Well, this is what you got. But Zedekiah couldn't even accept that, and he decided to rebel and get the help of not the spirit of the Most High, who has, and we're going to talk about this a lot, not a lot, but a little bit later on, the spirit of the Most High who literally has the elements, nature, and in today's societies, extraterrestrial or UFO or the chariots to help out with warfare. He didn't rely upon any of that at all. He relied upon what the scriptures say, the flesh of the Egyptians. Let me read that for you. So again, Zedekiah's reign, some may take it as, F the oppressor, stuff like that. But when you understand the way the Most High works, the Most High uses the oppressors to keep us in order. So when we rebel against that, even though it's another nation, you're still rebelling against the will of the Most High, which is what Zedekiah did. So Zedekiah was feeling more like he wanted to get help from the Egyptians and whatnot. And that actually, I think, is in, if it's not here, that's in the book of Ezekiel, that small extra detail. Let me see if I can find that for you guys real quick in Ezekiel. Let me read Ezekiel chapter 17 and verse 15. Ezekiel 17 and 15. Subsection Zedekiah's rebellion. But he rebelled against the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, and sending his ambassadors into Egypt, that they might give him horses and much people. Shall he prosper? Shall he escape that doeth such things? Or shall he break the covenant and be delivered? As I live, saith the Lord God, Yahweh, surely in the place where the king dwelleth that made him king, whose oath he despised, and whose covenant he brake, even with him in the midst of Babylon he shall die. Neither shall Pharaoh with his mighty army and great company make for him in the war by casting up mounts and building forts to cut off many persons, seeing he despised the oath by breaking the covenant when lo, he had given his hand and had done all these things. He should not escape. So basically, this is a prophecy against Zedekiah, the very last king of Jerusalem at this time, when he rebelled against what he agreed upon. Nebuchadnezzar knew that the Most High had used him to put Jerusalem and their kings in captivity, and Zedekiah had an oath that he kept in order really between him and the Most High. Well, Nebuchadnezzar was essentially the tool or the middleman, for lack of a better terms, that the Most High used to keep that oath, and Zedekiah rebelled. And right here in the scriptures, Ezekiel saying, hey, even though you did that, it's not going to prosper. Your help for the Egyptians, your help from the Egyptians isn't going to work, because their Egyptians are just but flesh. You know, they're not the spirit of the Most High, who is the ultimate savior and the ultimate planner for all these things. Let me see if there's anything special about this that I can bring out too again. No, that's it. So yeah, Ezekiel 17 and 15 through 18. That explains, Zedekiah's unprosperous rebellion. So now going back to 2 Chronicles, getting back to 2 Chronicles 36 and 17. Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young men or maiden or old man, or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand, and all the vessels of the house of God, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king and of his princes, all these he brought to Babylon. And they burnt the house of God, the temple, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servants to him and his sons until the reign of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah. So Jeremiah prophesying that all this is going to happen, as a prophet does, before it happens. This is before Babylonian captivity. That's that whole book. By the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath to fulfill 70 years. So that means as long as the land was desolate or empty or not with the wicked, Jews or Israelites, and even the Babylonians who eventually went back home, then the land itself can actually rest from all the evils that were happening within the borders, which was all the breaking of God's commandments, all the sin that was happening from the kings and the princes and the prophets and the priests and the common people and such like that. That's how the land was able to officially get rest from all the evil doings that happened upon it. And that was for how long did the Most High said? When you look at the captivities and the judges and the captivities that we live in right now, or that we're currently working out in our sentence right now, this is light work. The Most High said this captivity or this Sabbath of the land was only going to be, verse 21, 70 years. That's 70. 70 years, the Most High said, get out of my land and out of my face, essentially, live in Babylon, and then you guys can come back, which is what he mentioned about until the reign of the kingdom of Persia. 70 years. Let's get another precept with that too in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 29 and 10. Jeremiah 29 and 10, it says, for thus saith the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished, at Babylon I will visit you and perform my good word towards you, and cause you to return to this place. So again, that's just the proof in the pudding for the prophecy. Anytime anytime any of the prophets prophesy against Israel, and also consequently against the other nations in the world too, they're prophesying destruction, but they're also prophesying a remnant of hope within that destruction as well too, because the Most High always knows that, look, the majority of you are what's pissing me off right now. The majority of you are what's causing my anger, but I know that a remnant of you, although caught up with the majority, are going to actually consider their ways and turn away from the things that I called evil and repent. And I'm going to have, something special for them. But all this judgment and destruction and justice that I have to give is going to come to pass. That's mostly what Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, as the major prophets, that's most of what their works are about, is the justice and the judgment of the Most High. But then laced within those, long books is a promise of hope, and that's what's spoken about right here in Jeremiah as well, too. I'm going to read it again. It says, after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you. That's hopeful. And perform my good word towards you in causing you to return to this place, back home, back to Jerusalem. So that's the Most High's, a little light of hope within the massive darkness that he willingly brings upon the children of Israel, the Jews in particular, for this lesson, because this is the southern kingdom's judgment. This is the judgment of the southern kingdom with the Babylonian captivity. If I can possibly go back to 2nd Chronicles, 70 years. 70 years was going to be the time of punishment, of getting away from, our motherland in Israel. So that's what that was. So yeah, I'm cool with 2nd Chronicles right now. Just to give you a general, which what we're doing, oversight of the scriptures. So again, when you read the books of Ezekiel and you read the books of Daniel and Ezra and even history of Susanna and I would say Nehemiah as well. Those are books that take place, and Daniel as well too. Those are books that actually were written at the beginning, at the end, and during the Babylonian exile of Judea, or the Jews of Jerusalem. Those 70 years, those books actually take place within those time spans. Oh, the Book of Lamentations as well too. All those books basically pilot in the Babylonian captivity. As far as prophetically, the sadness that was involved with it, the justice and the judgment that needed to happen, the pointing out of the flaws of the people and such like that. All those books basically will tell you and repeat in some poetic way, in form of another, that this is the problem that Israel was doing and receiving for this moment. How you doing? So let's actually touch upon that. The brother from the last world history lesson, Hezron, he did a great job of explaining the problem and the issues of what it was ultimately in sin, and gave some great examples. So we're just gonna, follow along and do the same. We're gonna point out the problems that led to the Most High putting us into captivity. More particular and exact problems actually too. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel. We're going to be in Ezekiel quite a lot, actually, for this lesson. Ezekiel 16 and verse 15. So yeah, I'm done with Chronicles. Shit, I'm not going to do all that. Okay. That's a long chapter. Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 15. As a matter of fact, let me read from verse 1 even. 16 and 1. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations. That's what we're going to talk about right now. And again, we're going to talk about specific things that the Most High just could not tolerate, to where he had to remove not just groups, not just families, not individuals, but he had to remove the entire nation for these particular type of sins. verse 1 or verse 2. Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh unto Jerusalem, thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan, and thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. So this is a diss. The Most High is basically saying, look, y'all not my people. Y'all acting like the people that used to live here when I sent Abraham long ago to take and scout this land out. You're acting like those people, those Canaanites that used to live here, because of all the abominations that you have done and the outright idolatry against me, the living God, that you have done in tandem with that. So let's get into that, actually. Verse 15 in chapter 16 with Ezekiel. Verse 15. But thou did trust in thine own beauty, and played the harlot because of thy renown, and pouredst out thy fornications on everyone that passed by. His it was. Verse 16. And of thy garments thou didst take, and deckest thy high places with diverse colors, and playest the harlot thereupon. The like things shall not come, neither shall it be so. So the Most High is basically saying right here, look, you guys, when you play the harlot to the Most High, he's specifically talking about you're worshiping other gods. That's the main thing when the Most High is referring to Israel as a harlot and as a wife that's unfaithful. The main sin that he's talking about this is that you went and served other gods. You know, whether you completely disacknowledge me or you kept me, you know, within your circle and your frame, but at the same time, you went and worshiped this God as well too. That's the main thing the Most High is angry about, or that he's speaking about within this. And of course, that doesn't take away from just breaking his covenant in general, but the Most High is being very specific against the nation as a whole. Kings of Israel, but specifically kings of Jerusalem, kings of Judea were involved with some forms of gross idolatries, particularly Manasseh. I can't think of the other king, but Manasseh was one of the main offenders, and then I believe, I won't say it, but just know that Manasseh was one of the main offenders. But of the two that I'm thinking of, they both were involved with an extreme form of idolatry that the Most High didn't even put within his laws. And I'm going to bring that out for you. So I'm going to bring that out. In verse 20, it says that, moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast born unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. To be devoured. Is this of thy whoredom a small matter? And verse 21, that thou hast slain my children, and to delivered them, to cause them to pass through the fire for them. So again, this is a major issue that the Most High is seeing right here. Within the many styles of idolatry that ultimately we learn from the other nations, the other big ones, particularly like Assyria, the Moabites, Ammon, Edom even, and then some of the other surrounding nations like the Canaanites or Hittites and such like that. Eventually, it came to a point. Think about Solomon, actually. Solomon was the originator of it all. When the Most High said in Ezekiel 16 and 15, but thou didst trust in thine own beauty, that's pride. That means you don't think that you're going to be able to fall from the actions that you're taking or going to take, and plays the harlot because of thy renown. That's how Solomon was feeling when he allowed the wives that he took to set up idols or altars and idols to their particular gods. And then the business and the business that came with that, the riches increased, but the riches increased at what cost? It increased at the cost of allowing the heathen to come in our land unwarranted, meaning not within our guidelines, but they just come in and just do whatever they want. And that's what the idolatry and all the customs and abominations that come with the idolatry That's what happened back then. That's what's happening even right now. If you go to Ezekiel chapter 16, read verse 15.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and played the harlot because of thy renown, and poured out thy fornications on every one that passed by. His it was.
So it's talking about the type of business that was conducted within Jerusalem. Now, that's not saying that we can't conduct business, but there's levels to that. There's just certain ordinances that should be kept when you're dealing with the heathens in a business matter. You're supposed to be at the top, which means that you're keeping the Most High God's covenant. At this point, the kings had gotten to a point of, we're equal and buddy-buddy, if not actually subservient now to these other nations. That's the harlotry that the Most High is speaking about on a national level, that idolatry has allowed and crept in. And again, that's not to say that, and it's not good, but the idolatry did bring in material wealth, for the nation. But again, at what cost? For captivity, for lawlessness and sin, and to where we're at today. That was the foreseeable but not cared about costs that the many kings were doing. And again, so as abominable as sacrificing your own kids to these other gods for power, which is still happening today. Jeffrey Epstein file and stuff like that. You could look into it. Nothing new is under the sun. These things are the secret things that are still happening to this day that our people are subject to. So you can continue in jump down to verse 23.
And it came to pass after all thy wickedness, woe unto thee, saith the Lord God, that thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee an high place in every street. Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be abhorred, and hast opened thy feet to everyone that passed by, and multiplied thy whoredoms.
So that's specifically talking about the Most High said, look, regardless of whether you're worshiping me, and you better not be not anyone else, but you cannot just go and give sacrifices and make altars anymore anywhere you want. I already made a designated place for you to do your sacrifices to me, to honor. I'm speaking about Yahweh, to honor me at, which was in Jerusalem. That was the rule. That was the problem that Jeroboam had, to where he built the golden calves all the way north in Dan, and all the way south to his borders of the northern kingdom in whatever, I can't recall the tribe, but that was the problem that he had in letting the people come down and not letting the people come down to Jerusalem. The people in Jerusalem now are just building altars and doing whatever they want, wherever they want, which the Most High said, that's not what I want you to do. I want you to gather in a particular place. So now that's sin. Yes, it's a sin when you do whatever you want and worship the Most High or whoever anywhere you want. That's not the way the Most High wrote it in his law. Read on, verse 26.
Thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians, thy neighbors, great of flesh, and has increased thy whoredoms to provoke me to anger.
So that goes back again. That's what I was trying to bring out with Zedekiah. The whoredoms with the Egyptians. The fact that Zedekiah had made a promise to Nebuchadnezzar for the Most High that he would serve him, and rebelled just out of national, I'm an Israelite. I'm not a servant to you, even though the Most High put you to serve him. But he relied upon the Egyptians, great of flesh, but not of the spirit. And it didn't work out. Read on.
Verse 27. Behold, therefore I have stretched out my hand over thee, and have diminished thy ordinary food, and delivered thee unto the will of them that hate thee, the daughters of the Philistines, which are ashamed of thy lewd way. Thou hast played the whore also with the Assyrians, because thou wast unsatiable, satiable. Yea, thou hast played the harlot with them, and yet could not be satisfied.
Okay, pause right there. Yeah, scoot more into the center so they can see you. So again, this is the harlotry that the Most High is talking about, that comes along with the gods of the other nations and us not putting restrictions on, look, I know you're of this nation and you guys have your gods and the Most High has allowed this for the time, but you can't bring that nonsense here. That was not what was happening within our borders. So that's the aspect of the Most High saying, you're being harlots and whores. You're allowing all this idolatry and the worship of other gods happening within my borders and within my particular people for wealth and for gain that they were getting, but at what cost? Read on.
Verse 29, thou hast moreover multiplied thy fornication in the land of Canaan unto Chaldee, and yet thou was not satisfied herewith.
That greed and that Jeshurun or Israel waxing fat and kicking, like that's spoke about in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, the problem, or I believe it was chapter 30 or 31. So again, that was the biggest, and people don't really recognize it today because just Christianity has done a number in the minds of Black, Latino, Native American folks and Israelites scattered across the world. But like, these are like the big offenses. The Most High is like, I'm putting you in captivity out of recompense and judgment because of idolatry and sin and the worship of other forces that the Most High had created and that the other nations wonder upon. Also as well too, moving on from that, pride. You go to Ezekiel 13 and verse 17. Yeah. So this is specifically talking about the women and how the women were operating and their pride, you know, and which just tears up the nation from the inside out as well too. All these things allowed sins to, you know, fall upon sins within the nation. So you can read that.
Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 17. Likewise, thou son of man, set thy face against the daughters of thy people, which prophesy out of their own heart, and prophesy thou against them, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, woe to the women that sew pillows to all armholes, and make handkerchiefs,
like basically kerchiefs,
upon the head of every stature to hunt souls. Will ye hunt the souls of my people, and will ye save the souls alive that come unto you?
So a lot of times, you know, women aren't, I guess if you're educated in the chivalry and the romance of American culture, women aren't really seen too much as, you know, in the movie scenes, you know, of stuff like, you know, The Notebook and lovey-dovey Turner Classic movie films or Lifetime movies. They're not really seen as, you know, oh, they're not a threat. But women are in the wrong headspace or the wrong spirit. They're a major threat as far as destroying a man, a group, a family, and even a nation. You see, even in instances, you know, on, you know, some hood politics stuff, how women will set up men to get killed by other men because they're using, you know, their charm and whatnot, and that man is now X'd out of the situation. So the Most High is judging the women as well, that they have a problem. Their pride is the problem as far as bringing the iniquity and sin upon the nation. You can read on and pick up where you're at.
Verse 19. And will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread, to slay the souls that should not die, and to save the souls alive that should not live, by your lying to my people that hear your lies? Wherefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against your pillows, wherewith ye there hunt the souls to make them fly, and I will tear them from your arms, and will let the souls go, even the souls that ye hunt to make them fly. Your kerchiefs also will I tear, and deliver my people out of your hand, and they shall be no more in your hand to be hunted, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
So the Most High is letting it be known upon, you know, these women. The main thing with them is that, like, and the main thing that they're using against the men of Israel is, you know, their sexual prowess and stuff like that. But we all know, according to law, once someone lays with one, that woman now officially belongs to that man she laid with. So when you have a woman and then other men that agree upon that, well, even though we did do this laying stuff together, we're just going to still let you go free willy-nilly. All that stuff is compounding sin within the nation, and then some just don't care, and they're just allowing the BS and the iniquity to keep happening, and that's destroying what the Most High is saying. It's destroying souls of people. And again, they're just doing it for the gain that they're getting, the barley, the wheat, the security, all that is going on, but in the midst of the Most High's judgment and rap sheet, stacking up. Because again, they should be some man's property or possession, They should be some man's possession at now. That's why everything was just designed like that, and the fornication just gets out of hand. You can read on from there.
Verse 22, because with lies ye have made the heart of the righteous sad, whom I have not made sad, and strengthened the hands of the wicked, that he should not return from his wicked way, by promising him life. Therefore ye shall see no more vanity, nor divine divinations, for I will deliver my people out of your hand, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Khan. And a big thing that that women in the ancient world, and still today, best believe it, that's what witches were involved in, was being prophetesses of some particular god. That's what temple prostitution and cult prostitution was. You would basically, go and lay with this woman, and then in the midst of that, you would get a prophecy and a revelation, and then you go about your day. These were things that, that the women of the other nation were involved in, and they got our people and our women involved in as well too. And the Most High saying, I'm against all your prophesying and your evils, uses of your bodies for that. I'm not with that. That's too much pride, and I can't deal with that. So again, these are all the things that led to the Most High judging us on a national level, essentially. So again, that's that. To touch more about what was actually going on in the captivity, we know we were there. So we still had instructions, even though we still had instructions by the Most High for those that wanted to repent and be righteous within that captivity, as far as a vision of what to do in the midst of all this chaos. And a lot of them still was to still build separate communities within their kingdom. Go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29. Jeremiah 29. And I believe so. If not, we're going to start from verse 1.
Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 1. Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders, which were carried away captives, and to the priests, and to the prophets, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. After that, Jeconiah the king, and the queen, and the eunuchs, the princes of Judah and Jerusalem, and the carpenters, and the smiths, were departed from Jerusalem.
So again, those are all the royalty, all the royalty parts of the top rank of that movers and the shakers of the nations. Just like me and this Jake right here, we trying to be top master plumbers. They would have took us. Not right now though, but not right now. But 2 or 3 more years, we would have been taken within that. We wouldn't have been the slum niggas that we are right now. I'm just that's how they look at us. But again, that's the. I don't know the military tactic, but it's just an intelligent captivity thing to where, if I take these set of people, they're not going to be able to, the remaining people will never be able to build their land back because they're not smart enough. That's what the Babylonians did. Read on.
By the hand of Elisah, the son of Shaphan, and Gemariah, the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah king of Judah sent unto Babylon, to Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon.
This is your task, all you smart and educated people within the captivity.
Build ye houses, and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives, and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there, and not diminished. And seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Most High for it. For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace.
Khan. So that was the instruction. That was the remnant of hope within the darkness of destruction the Most High put upon. He said, look, still, you're in captivity, you're in punishment, but guess what? Those of you that want to still be righteous, this is your instructions. Maintain that righteous mind state and build separate communities within the kingdom still so that you can eventually grow and increase. And eventually I'm going to let you back. It's only going to be 70 years. You know, if you read the prophecies, all you smart ones, artisans and craftsmen, and even the kings royal, if you read the prophecies, it's only going to be 70 years. So get your time, get your act right, and eventually y'all going to be let back to lead the rest of the people that are in Jerusalem, the poor, and the McDonald's workers and the Dollar Tree workers. You can lead them correctly and rebuild the nation back. That was the goal and the plan within captivity. Let's go to Ezekiel 11 and 16 to kind of expand on that too. Ezekiel 11. Yes, yep. Yep.
Ezekiel chapter 11 and verse 16. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
Khan. So a little sanctuary, that means the ones that listen to the prophecy of Jeremiah, they're making these communities. That's the sanctuary. And if you read in history, actually, and I might read an article or I might just summarize it. It depends on what pops up. Okay, check this out. This is an AI overview of famous historical events in the 70-year Babylonian captivity by the Jews that you can Google right now and see for yourself. And it says that one of the biggest cultural and religious transformations that was happening within that captivity was the development of synagogues. So, deprived of the temple, Jews began gathering for prayer and study, forming the basis of what synagogues are. So basically, synagogues are churches. When we don't have the temple, which was destroyed at this particular time, what did we have to do? We had to do the same thing that they were doing in the book of Acts, going from house to house, where 2 and 3 or more are gathered in Yahweh's name, or Christ in that specific instance. There will the Spirit of the Most High and the Holy Spirit be amongst you. That's what our people were doing even in Babylon. So you had many synagogue communities that were, whether they constructed churches or the buildings for themselves, or it was just at people's houses. If you read the book of the history of Susanna, let's actually go to that real quick in the Apocrypha, History of Susanna, just as an example of these sanctuaries within captivity. You could read when you get there the first 6 verses. This is an example of what we was doing, the synagogues or these sanctuaries within the captivity.
This is the book of the history of Susanna. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelseas, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord. Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had a fair garden joining unto his house, and to him restored the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year appointed 2 of the ancients of the people to be judges, which as the Lord spake of that wickedness came from Babylon, from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. These kept much of Joachim's house, and all that had any suits in law came unto them.
So again, this is part of the story goes a lot deeper, but I just wanted to let you guys know this is the proof in the scriptures of what it would look like if we were to actually start, well, what we did, but if we did right now, started building our own communities within our captivity, within modern day Babylon. But exactly what they were doing, Jehoiachin. Now, granted, as the story goes, you had Israelites that were still suffering from sin trauma. The 2 ancients or the 2 elders in the story of history, Susanna, they weren't good people. They weren't good people, and you could tell that they were a product of the last couple of kings that were in Jerusalem before being put into captivity. They were definitely amongst the majority of the people that caused the sin and idolatry upon the land. And you read that in the story and framing her for something that she didn't do and desiring of her, a married woman. You can get your own woman, but you want a married woman. Sin, that's what was happening in the midst of good stuff that the Most High was telling us to do in captivity, and then bad stuff that was surrounding it as well too, because of the influence of the world around them, the world outside, Babylon, the Fertile Crescent, and everything like that. That's the dynamic that we're seeing in the prophecy to look towards and to what to expect. So essentially, again, this captivity was a waiting period, no different than here in America. We're here for a time being, and we're trying to do the same exact things, building communities and lands. This church right here, this is essentially what would be a synagogue back then. We're a little space and sanctuary within captivity for people to come learn about themselves, to come learn about righteousness, and to kind of shed away former sins from themselves and from their forefathers by hanging on as best as they can within a righteous, striving community. That's what we're doing right here as well, and that's the reflection. Go to Ezekiel 4:16 through 17. Yeah. So in the midst of that, it's captivity. It's captivity that we're trying to make the best of. So we have better days now, but we have a lot of struggle days too. You can read that.
Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment, that they may want bread and water, and be astonished one with another, and consume away their iniquity.
So that's part of the punishment of being in captivity. You no longer can just, at will eat as much as you can. Now the Most High said, you're going to eat bread and drink and water by measure, which is the same thing that we do with, the money that we get. When you lose your job, and you hopefully can get unemployment or something like that, you can't just go all out unless you're irresponsible and you're doing bad things to get irresponsible money. You just can't go all out and get everything that you want or everything that even that your family would want. You got to get the bare, as my dad would say, I'm giving you the bare basics, the bare necessities and stuff like that. You can't have all the extras all the time. You got to do all these things by measure and by weight, specifically with just eating and food, let alone, pastime stuff that people wanted to do.
Moderation.
Yeah, exactly. More cap than moderation. Like it's I can't even think of the word, but it's like an extreme cap of moderation. But again, all of this is just the same as the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28. I might even, pull out some of those too, because I have it written down. Deuteronomy chapter 28, in our waiting period, we got to endure like back then and like right now, we got to endure, the uncomfortable aspects of living in the world while maintaining spiritual righteousness.
48. Thou shalt serve thy enemies.
Yeah, read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. He shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Yep. Go to read verse 23.
Verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. And the Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed.
So, noting that our people were mainly agrarian and cattle shepherding people, the Most High is saying as a curse, you're not going to be able to even grow your own food the way you want. You're not going to be able to get the yield of any type of land because of your iniquity and sin. So therefore, yes, you are continuing to eat and drink and want all things in measure, just like what Ezekiel said. You're not going to have the fullness and the greatness of what you originally had when you followed me, Yahweh, the Lord God Yahweh, in sincerity and singleness of mind. Now, I'm taking all that away from you. You're going to be basically like a skinny cow. You're not going to be one of the fat cows anymore.
Have you noticed we ain't even get that much rain this year?
Right.
This season. It's crazy.
Crazy, but we did get enough. We did get that measure for where we're going to be staying at to look green. But again, we don't have. This is not the land of milk and honey. Let's put it like that. This is not the land of milk and honey. This is the land of. This is the land of salt and the salt and pepper. Basically, we get shavings of the milk and honey or the fruit and vegetation that we could get. We just get seasoned. We get the little remnant. That's all we're getting right here. So we got to endure that, we got to endure that just like our forefathers were enduring it back then. Everything that we're living right now, because there's not too much biblical written experience as far as, other than Lamentations, the sadness, but everything that we're doing right now that you've been doing for the past 10 years is exactly what our forefathers was doing in Babylon way back then, just in different clothes, a different vernacular, and maybe some different technological setups. But we're doing the same exact thing. So look at your life. Your life is a living, walking word and testament. Nothing's new under the sun. It's all a reflection. So now, some of the struggles and things that we had to deal with living in Babylon, not really so much struggles, but just the culture of it. Again, I mentioned idolatry earlier. Idolatry is the most offensive thing to worship an image and representation of a force that Yahweh ultimately created is the biggest disrespect that you can do to the Most High God, Yahweh, that has consistently, read the book of Judges, has consistently put us in situations where we're in captivity or, just under captivity by another nation that worship those gods. Go to Exodus 20 and read verse 4 through 5. So one of the biggest things that Babylon is known for, the word literally means confusion. And spiritually, the dynamic is talking about their polytheistic tendencies. What I just said. They have multiple gods. They don't care. They may or may not acknowledge, the highest, the Most High God in some other name or form. But in the midst of that, just like what we were doing, they're going to go and worship other gods when they need situations done for them in the immediate, which is, again, a disrespectful thing for a God that says, I'm a jealous God. I don't like when you do that. You are my chosen people. You should only worship and love me. You don't get no polygyny with other gods. It's only one. You only get one, and I'm your one. Read that. 20 and verse 4 through 5.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
So he's letting it be. He's letting it be specifically known because I'm going to get into Ezekiel and the phenomenons that are written in there again. But he said, look, whatever you may see that's, in the skies above, whether they be, stars or the chariots of the Most High God, Yahweh, UFOs, or that's something that's in the earth beneath, or something that's in, the woods and the forests, some type of powerful beast or something like that, or even in the waters underneath, the waters underneath the ocean. No matter how powerful or how forceful that you think that it is, do not bow down yourself to them, and don't make images and representation of them to bow down to them in your heart and in your head. He said, don't do that because that's offensive. I made these things for my purposes, whether they be things of good of the light or whether they be things of darkness of evil. I have control and the ability to let them release upon whoever I want at any point in time. And just because you stumbled upon them does not mean that you can just go out and serve them, because I made them. Now, I want to talk about UFOs a little bit. Babylon UFOs. Go to the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 1. And you can start from verse 4 when you get there. Yeah, chapter 1 and verse 4. So, if y'all did not know, there's been some recent things within the American government, Donald Trump and everything like that, and finally, not what we call full disclosure, but acknowledging that, hey, yeah, there's been some, we acknowledge that there are some things that are not of this world that, fly around in the skies, and the things or the creatures that are within them that we've been, tracking intelligence on for some years. And we're considering releasing the information to the public. But this is information that the public has not been released officially by the American government, released upon, but people, that they call conspiracy theorists and the UFOologist community, they have testimonies, stuff like that, but they're not official because the media and the American government says it's not until they say they do. But the Bible already tells you that these things exist and that we shouldn't be, as the scriptures say, dismayed upon them to the point where you're going to worship something that you don't understand. The scriptures talk about UFOs, or what they call chariots of the Most High God, vehicles that are used to execute the Most High's will. You can read that, 1 and 4.
Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. So this is a lot of ancient symbolism, words to express that what was seen was something bright, a bright object coming from the sky, a whirlwind, something fast that's causing, a lot of noise and wind because of the speed that is coming upon Ezekiel in this instance. And these are things that have been recorded and documented, not written exactly like this, but by many cultures, including the Babylonians, since ancient times, in the time of Nimrod, till today in Iraq and Iran, since then. These are the things that have been cited, and the Bible is telling you, yes, people aren't just lying. They're not making it up. They're not telling a folk tale or fairy tale. These things do happen. But at the same time, the Most High has a purpose for them. Read on in verse 5. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and and they four had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they four had the face of an ox on the left side. They four also had the face of an eagle.
So, stopping right there. So now, not only is the scripture mentioning what we can parallel UFOs to a whirlwind and a chariot of fire, but now the scripture is also saying that in the midst of seeing these phenomenon from the sky, there are living creatures that come along with them, creatures with the likenesses of man, basically anthropomorphic beings that look like human in appearance, but also have animalistic tendencies too. A face of a lion, the face of an eagle, the face of an ox, and also faces of men. These are things that you get with this whole UFO phenomenon, and these are things that you see within Babylon, within Babylonian mythology, that they like to call it. They have these type of likenesses written in their drawn in their hieroglyphics, so to speak. Every ancient culture, from Egypt to Babylon and other places that we ain't been in captivity from, they have these depictions of these otherworldly beings, may I say aliens, angels, essentially from the Most High, depicted in their mythologies, their artwork, and their writings, basically, whether it be in cuneiform or whether it be in hieroglyphics. Perfect example, the Egyptians. How many human bodied gods with animal heads do they have? They weren't just writing that just because that's what they're imagining. These people seen something. And the Most High, knowing human nature, gave Israel a particular law. He said, look, whatever you see in the heavens, in the heavens or in the earth beneath or in the waters beneath, do not make images to bow down and worship them. That's letting you know, yes, these things are happening. But guess what? Don't be dismayed at them. These are my servants and servants. Don't make them gods unto you. But then that's what are influenced by the other nations, Babylon in particular. That's what we started doing, even to the point of sacrificing kids to these servants of the Most High God, these angels or these gods with little g, for some type of power and gain. And we do know that there is, on the dark side aspect, some authority and power with that. You see the Egyptians that competed with Moses and his staff, they were able to do miracles to a point. At a certain point, the Most High's power overshadowed all that. So again, the Most High is letting you know, yes, all this stuff that you might call supernatural beings, a supernatural phenomenon that you see from the skies or underneath the water or within the earth, they're there and they're for real. But just rely upon me, and as we know, rely upon my son, Yahushua, who has all authority over these things, and you'll be all right. And you'll be all right with me, because guess what? In the perspective of Yahweh, I'm a lot more terrifying than those false gods that you're worshiping. Go to the book of stay in Exodus, actually. Stay in Exodus. I'm sorry, my bad. Go to Exodus. My bad, bro. Go to Exodus, and then I want you to read Exodus 15 and verse 3 and then verse 11 to kind of drive this point.
Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his hosts hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea.
Jump to verse 11.
Who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders?
So the Most High is letting you know, no matter what forces of nature and forces of the spirit that you see out here, who is like, what one of those is like unto the Most High God Yahweh? There's no comparison. So don't get involved, because as Leviticus 18 said, do not do as the customs of the Egyptians and of the people in the land that you're about to go into. Don't do these things because they're going to offend me. Because why? I'm a jealous God. Why am I jealous? Because I created all these phenomenon and forces. They serve me for a purpose. So I don't want you to veer off like these other nations have done since time memorial, since before the flood and shortly after. I don't want you guys to be like that. Stick with me. That's what the Father is saying in these instances. But at the same time, not denying that they don't exist. They're there. But just don't get carried away. Khan, we don't got to drive the point on that. I just want you guys to know. So, fun little tidbit. Be careful, not be careful, but just be mindful when you watch TV shows like Ancient Astronauts and stuff like that. Some of that stuff, it's not all BS. A lot of it is slightly, some veracity to it, but you got to read it within the context of the Most High God Yahweh. Ancient Astronauts, that's just dealing with the chariots of the Most High God Yahweh. And there's plenty of proof with that too. There's plenty of proof that these phenomena had existed not only within the scriptures, but just with the history in itself. Many times it involved battles. With it, for instance, Alexander the Great, he had a particular battle back in 300 BC where he's seen within the sky chariots, or UFOs assisting him in battle. He had that. We had the same thing coming out of Egypt. The pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire, that was a chariot of the Most High God protecting us. The same thing with the battle in the book. Matter of fact, go to Judges 5:20. The book of Judges 5:20, it says that in this particular fight against another captive nation, we had help from the Most High and his chariots.
Judges chapter 5 and verse 20. They fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera.
Khan. That was, I believe, an Assyrian commander. But we have instances where these things assisted us, but they also have assistance with the other nations as well too. Go to the book of Daniel. Go to Daniel chapter 10 and read verse 12 through 14. So again, all these, the Most High has things organized. The Most High has things organized so that he can get his will done from nation to nation. He'll send his phenomenons to ensure that, okay, I want this kingdom to reign next. I want the Babylonians to reign next. Then I want the Persians to reign next. Then I want the Greeks and the Romans to reign next. I'm going to have to send some assistance. They can't do it of their own accord. Not just men fighting swords and chariots with each other, but I got to send supernatural assistance to get my will done. That's why these phenomenon happen, and they're recorded by many nations across the world. Read that in Daniel 10, 12 through 14, and then I'm going to bring you to another one.
Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days.
So again, this is Daniel making his prayer within the Babylonian captivity, and he has an angel that's been trying to reach to him, but he says that, hey, the prince of Persia was withholding me, and the only thing that came to actually help me with that was Michael. Now, if you know anything about Michael, that's one of the top commanders of the Most High's chariots, or the UFOs. That's who he is. So he himself, sent by the Most High, had to go and help out another angel in order to get a message relayed to Daniel. So things are happening within what we would call maybe the spirit world, because this was also a vision that Daniel was having as well too. Go to Revelations 12, 7 through 9. The same Michael doing the same thing in these latter days and times. Make no mistake that, again, just like the Egyptians that use some type of supernatural forces to kind of sway the people and to get people to believe in miracles, the same thing is happening with modern day Babylon and the American government today. And child sacrifice is definitely a big part of it.
Revelations chapter 12 and verse 5. Verse 7, Salakia. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So understand, again, the supernatural warfare that is happening amongst us. We don't need to worry about it, but the scriptures do let us know that these things are happening, and that's why information exists in the world. You know, like, well, why is this happening? Why do they put stuff like this on the History Channel? This is the thing that ties it all together. These are the things in the scriptures that tie it all together. I won't go too much more into that, but just be aware of these things. And again, to not be dismayed on, I guess, what we're coming into in America, future disclosure on stuff that Donald Trump did, mention, aliens and UFOs. It's already there in the scriptures, and they're all ultimately under the control of the Most High, if not some people using the enemy, Satan, to get that type of power from these type of supernatural beings. Don't be alarmed. Don't be dismayed. It's there, but we have a greater name in Yahushua and Christ, in Jesus Christ, that works against those things, us as followers of the faith. Everyone else, they're about to get Revelation 7 and Revelations 9, and caught up in the midst of that, caught up in the midst of the great deception. But again, we have these scriptures to free us from that. So again, that's part of Babylon. That's part of the customs and culture within Babylon, the confusion, the polytheism, the many different gods and forces that the people back then were worshiping, and the people today, you best believe, around the world, because America is a whole empire around the whole world, are worshiping as well too. That's what we're living in right now, 400 years plus. We haven't been educated on it like that, but that's the disclosure. Go to the book of Daniel again, and we might more than likely close it off with that. Daniel, the last chapter. I believe so. Hold on, let me read it real quick. Yeah, 12 and 1.
And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book.
Read on to verse 4.
And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall wake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
Knowledge shall be increased. So if you're looking for the knowledge, it's there. It might be confusing, but again, the root that you should root it on is in these scriptures. And I hopefully that everything that was expressed and talked about today involving Babylonian customs and cultures and even mythologies makes sense as far as what's happening today and what's going to keep getting revealed as the weeks go on from here. Again, knowledge is increasing in the world, as well as deception for those that don't have the fundamental base for that knowledge to stand on, you guys. All right. So with that, I just want to say shalom, good night, good morning, and tune in next time.
Shalom. If y'all looking for a place to be charitable with, looking for somewhere to donate, we ain't doing nothing but beneficial things for our people, especially in the community. So if you find it in your heart, Most High will really appreciate that. But tune into our website, and you can donate there.